And welcome back to the RCA Dome. We're about set, the Bills and the Colts. Head coach Tony Dungy in his 5th year, 4 straight trips to the playoffs. What a record, 56-16 as the head coach here in Indianapolis against Dick Jauron's Buffalo Bills. Jauron in his 1st year at the helm in Buffalo, former coach of the Chicago Bears, and many key former players for him in Chicago on this Bills roster, including Anthony Thomas, who will be the primary running back as we're underway. Short kick comes down to Terrence McGee. Dangerous return man. And he's out to the 30 and more. And then is pushed forward on the tackle at the 35-yard line. 5.3 yards a carry. And he likes to run left. He was successful last week, and that's the first try. And it's good for 3 yards. Bob Sanders. Sanders not in uniform today. Who is Thomas toppled on a good low hit at the 39-yard line. Cato June and Antoine Bethea. Bethea up from safety, the rookie from Howard.
Well, everybody wants to run the ball now against the Colts, and your stat you just read, 5.3 a crack, tells you. But now Indianapolis on that last play literally had 10 players on the line of scrimmage, 9 of them in the proverbial box.
The crowd picks up the noise level as it's 3rd down and 5. Lossman from the shotgun. The throw is caught. A tough catch by Lee Evans. He wrestled with Jason David and won the battle. Evans' 40th catch of the season to lead Buffalo.
When you do pass the ball for Buffalo, in order to be effective today, you better be accurate. This is a very good defense. Jason David did everything he's supposed to be. He was right there. That ball was perfectly placed, though, by J.P. Lossman.
And a first down out across the 47. Here comes the blitz. Lossman throws, incomplete. No flag, yes, a late flag. Trying to hit Evans, who was bumped just as he reached for the ball. Appeared to be David a little too close on the contact.
And that was all set up by a wonderful block in the backfield by the A-Train, Anthony Thomas, on the blitz.
Pass interference, defense, number 42. Automatic, first down.
Tony Corrente, the man in the white hat, our referee today.
And the interference does come in late. Jason David does make contact late, but the only reason that ball was even able to be thrown by J.P. Lossman was a job that Anthony Thomas did, picking up the blitz, and they brought the blitz. They brought the house last play.
So often overlooked, and that's one of the reasons the Colts like young Joseph Adai, his blocking. Here's Anthony Thomas, and there's a lot to like on that run, except Corrente with a late flag.
Now there is exactly what J.P. Lossman was talking about when we talked to him.
Holding, offense, number 88. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Second tight end Ryan Neufeld ticketed down the hold. That'll be marked from the spot at the 40 of the Colts back to the midfield stripe.
It negates what Anthony Thomas does best too, is that running forward. You know, J.P. Lossman asked him about the main difference between him and Willis McGahee, who's out of this game with the 2 cracked ribs and the 1 broken rib, and he'll be out for a while. He says, well, Anthony Thomas will always be going forward. He'll never leave you at 2nd and 10. He'll always leave you at 2nd and 7. He'll get those extra yards just going forward.
The penalty downfield, so it's a 7, not a 10-yard penalty, and Thomas again running left, and there he is again, falling forward. He got another 3 yards to the 40 of Indianapolis, but bring up 3rd down and 7. Cato June tripped him up.
You know, Dick, really, it's a lesson that a young guy like Reggie Bush could learn. We were in New Orleans a couple weeks ago, and you saw how he was always kind of skitting and trying to get outside and beat him around the outside and prove that he's faster than everybody. And Anthony Thomas knows he's not faster than everybody else, but he knows he can lower his shoulder and run over a lot of people.
Set the University of Michigan rushing record with over 4,400 yards, Thomas, and then Rookie of the Year offensively with the Bears. He has it again, 40, and powers his way to the 37, but that'll be about 4 yards shy of a first down and brings up the first big decision by Dick Jauron. Does he go for it on 4th and 4?
Well, really, what this shows you with Anthony Thomas is he's putting his offense in the ideal position. It's not about having to get a first down on that particular play. It's giving J.P. Lossman a manageable 3rd down. It's not 3rd and long. Now it's 3rd and actual short at about 4 yards.
So that isn't a tough decision. Not 4th down, but 3rd down and 4 for Jauron. The penalty on the run by Thomas on first down, and of course replay the down. On 3rd and 4, quick throw over the middle, and wide open is Evans. Just turned and curled, and right at the sticks, has the first down at the 32-yard line between Cato June and Rob Morris.
You know, Indianapolis stayed in their base defense, Dick. They didn't go in anything exotic like a nickel or whatnot, and after J.P. Lossman finished shifting, he had nobody in the backfield. Nobody in the backfield. It was an empty backfield, everybody out in coverage or out in patterns. And Freeney gets there, but that's been the story of Dwight Freeney's year. Lots of pressures, a lot of hits on the quarterbacks, but no sacks so far.
Lots of touches, but no tackles. For a sack at least, only a half sack this year. First down play, it's Shad Williams, and he is driven back. The charge led by Gilbert Gardner, number 51, with Cato June right there shoulder to shoulder, and Bethea coming up from secondary.
Oh, we're talking a little bit about running styles, Dick. Well, here's a running style when your running back's not very big, when he's under 200 pounds, when he's more of a water bug type of a runner than Anthony Thomas blasting it and always going forward. A guy under 200 pounds will generally end up going backwards.
Shad Williams from Alabama, that was his first carry of the season. He'll see some duty with McGahee out. Only 2 running backs. And there's a fumble, and falling on the ball was Damon Shelton, a rare chance for him to run as well. So Shelton, who has not carried the entire season, I don't know whether that was a mix-up and Thomas was the man all along, but it appeared Shelton wanted the ball.
You know what this really is to me, Dick? It's doing something new, obviously, but that's not something you're good at, because Shelton's not expecting that
ball. What are you giving it to me for? Exactly. No one ever lets me run it.
He basically should wear a 60 number. He ends up basically bruising his forehead most plays.
Totally surprised by the handoff with Shelton. Fortunate that Thomas fell on the loose ball. Now 3rd and 12. Lossman deep down the middle and has Evans open at the 10. First down for the Buffalo Bills. A good leaping catch by Lee Evans, who has been dominant on this opening drive.
Well, and this is a combination, Dick, that last year when J.P. Lossman started getting things going, they really had the magic mojo down the field. They really did a nice job together. And last week, they, for the first time, really unveiled something. That chemistry was back, and that was a pretty good throw, but one amazing catch by Evans going up and getting it.
Actually, Evans with 3 catches on this opening drive. First and goal at the 10-yard line, and Thomas hit in the backfield by Cato June. There's a pair of Michiganders, Wolverines, who were teammates for a year or 2 in Ann Arbor.
Cato June, that is all pre-planned coming out of the slot. See, he's cheated it a little bit off the slot receiver. That usually tells you it's going to be a blitz, and that's a run blitz against this Buffalo offense that they know their first selection on most cases when it's not 3rd and long is going to be running the ball.
3-yard loss, 2nd and goal at the 13. Thomas left. Not much there. Rob Morris playing for the injured Gary Brackett makes the tackle. Morris, a former #1 pick by the Colts back in 2000. Eagle scout from Napa, Idaho, and Cato June applauds his teammate.
He's filling in for Gary Brackett, out of the game with an injury, couldn't play this week, and Rob Morris has played some in this defense. He knows what you're supposed to do is get into a fit, get into a gap, be where you're supposed to be. No one blocked him, and he was in the perfect gap.
And now 3rd and goal. From the 11, Lossman gives to Thomas on a draw. He's to the 5 and down to the 4-yard line, and that was a very important tackle made by cornerback Nick Harper, who came up to get the shoulder on Thomas, who was trying to make it to the end zone and had gone through most of the Colts defense.
Now this is part of Dick Duran's formula, Dick. Sometimes you'd say as an underdog, do you take a chance? Well, his whole idea was when you get your offense and they get down the field, they have to have points. When you're on the road and you're a big underdog and you're playing at a team like this' house, get away, get your points, get off the field.
Consumed 8 minutes with the opening possession, and Lindell with nothing more than an extra point on the 22-yard field goal. Lindell knocks it through. He's 12 for 13 on the season, but a flag is down. Let's see if this impacts the chances for Buffalo to try something else.
It's against the Colts defense, I think. Might have had too many guys on the field.
Can't be a first down.
12 players on the defense. Buffalo is elected to accept this penalty on the kickoff. The field goal is good.
And so, Tony Dungy not pleased about his defense, although they did hold Buffalo to the drive to a field goal. 3-0, the Bills. Led by the pass catching of Lee Evans, the Bills get 3 out of the opening drive. The good news for Buffalo, consuming 8 minutes and 6 seconds on that 65-yard drive.
That's been the technique against the Colts this year. Every year everybody does something different to these guys. You want to shorten the game, shorten the number of possessions as much as you can, and obviously the key to doing that is a running back like Anthony Thomas.
And so Lindell has it teed up. Peyton Manning getting a little itchy there, having to sit on the sidelines that long. And it's Terrence Wilkins, the deep man. And Wilkins, who returned an 82-yard kick for a touchdown against Jacksonville, a punt. He has become a real factor, and he sprints out to the 35-yard line. Good position for Manning. Jim Leonard made the tackle for Buffalo, and we have an early timeout. And welcome back to Indianapolis. Lots of tailgating fun prior to today's kickoff. This facility for this year, next year, and then a brand new stadium being built right next door. Now the Colts 8-0 back-to-back years. Green Bay did it 3 years back in the late 20s, but they never went twice in a row 9-0, and that's what the Colts trying to do today. First time in NFL history. The quick throw is to Dominique Rhodes. Typical Peyton Manning now sets his line and then readjusts, points and gesticulates, and finally engineers the run to Dominique Rhodes, who was smothered after a 1-yard gain. How will they stand the test of Peyton Manning's arm? It's 3rd and 4. Listen how quiet it is here in the dome.
They don't want to
have the
Peyton.
ball. You could hear him without any amplification all the way to the press box. On 3rd and 4, the quick throw is complete to Marvin Harrison. Oh no, they're saying it is not complete. The Bills won the argument as they said they had pulled it away. Nate Clements down there digging on Marvin Harrison, and the call incomplete, and 4th down comes up for Indianapolis.
Well, both Clements and McGee are very aggressive, very physical corners. You see, Clements does a nice job of ripping that ball out of Harrison's hands. The ball does hit the ground. But I will say, Dick, and we talked to Peyton, he said it, and everyone says it, if you get too aggressive with his receivers, you better have your track shoes on, because they will give you a give and go, and they'll go down the field for a streaker.
Hunter Smith delivers the punt to Roscoe Parrish, the diminutive 168-pounder from Miami. Lets it roll, and what a kick by the Colts Smith, and it's down by Marlon Jackson at the 2-yard line. 57 yards, and the Bills pinned at the 2, leading 3-0. Credit T.J. Rushing with touching it down at the 2, and look at that. Bills have averaged 3 drives a game, 24 total inside their own 20, no touchdowns, and they begin from the 2. Thomas, a tailback, gets the call, runs into the pile, and a gain of a couple yards. Anthony McFarland, acquired from Tampa Bay this season with a shortage of defensive tackling on the stop. Let's go to Randy's crosstalk.
Yeah, some things to keep an eye out for. For the Buffalo Bills, no mistakes. You've got to be the team that has no turnovers, and you've got to produce the turnovers. For the Colts, you got to separate early. Make the difference early, get the big plays, put your defense in a situation where this crowd can really let you relax a little bit. I said don't relax, but if that crowd starts being a factor, you can bring it.
They're on their feet now, making noise. 2nd and 7, and nothing there at all. As Thomas out to the 7-yard line. McFarland again in the middle of the defense to make the hit, so it'll be 3rd down and a long 5 for Buffalo.
You've got a defensive line that's a little bit light in the tail when you add a guy that's 6 foot 300, and he's being added for his girth. And Anthony McFarland has done a nice job inside of this defense, but they are not a very big defensive line specifically. But man, Freeney and Mathis are like sprinters on the outside, especially on this surface.
You saw Freeney 51 career sacks in 4 years, but only a half sack this year. And Thomas breaks the tackle, and with that second effort, gets the first down out at the 14-yard line. Anthony Thomas at 225. The A train on track early.
And Steve Fairchild, their offensive coordinator, does a nice job of taking advantage of that track and that sprinter speed up the field. If they're going to be fast and they're going to be a little on the light side, go ahead and pound it at them inside and let those sprinters on the outside run right by the running back on a draw.
Randy, Dick Sharon has to like this number. On third downs today, Buffalo is 5 for 5. Thomas. And here comes Mathis. Robert Mathis with his 5.5 sacks now. Boy, no one touched him.
Well, and this is, we talk about that sprinter speed. Watch that right shoulder of Pennington, number 79, and how much it won't even contact Mathis. Never touched him with the right shoulder. And if your right shoulder gets open that fast and you're an offensive lineman, that's called opening the swinging gate. And that sprinter speed. It was so loud, Dick, I didn't even hear that starter's gun for that race.
Pennington, a rookie from New Mexico, a 7th-round pick. And Jaron has moved him over to that right tackle spot. Thomas out to the 8-yard line, a gain of only a yard or two. And Jaron yesterday showed some concern. And he's asking this rookie to do a lot. He's been playing both right and left tackle.
Well, he is, and he's moved his best offensive lineman, Jason Peters, from that right side over to the left side and brought Pennington in. And you know, it's just a matter of you got to give the guy some reps, and are you giving it to him a little bit early? I tell you, this is the ultimate test by acid, not test by fire. This is test by acid with this crowd and this defensive end speed.
And the factor last in the league on 3rd and more than 6. No gamble here. Thomas trying to swing outside, a flag down, and Thomas hit at the 10-yard line. Probably a hold, and if so, you would think the Colts would decline. They've already got Buffalo backed in deep. Let's see as Tony Corrente sorts it out. Those referees could write a book on the comments they get on the field from
They get
players.
lots of help.
You saw Corrente smile.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 83. This penalty is declined. Result is 4th down.
Lee Evans trying to help Thomas get downfield. Declined by the Colts, and on will come Brian Moorman, who's kicking last year for the Bills, won him a spot in the Pro Bowl. Another good year this season, averaging 44.5 and over 40 net.
It was his kicking last week. It was really one of the real keys to the game.
Wilkins back at the Colts 40-yard line, really playing a long leg effort from Moorman. And a whistle before the kick. Moorman really drilled one too. He sent that one, look, all the way to the 34-yard line. Doesn't count.
You're going to back him up. He's going to need to kick it 5 yards further if he wants to get it to that point again.
False start. Offense. The center. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Critical in the victory against the Packers last week with McGee, a long kickoff return. Moorman averaging 47 plus, and Lindell a field goal and 3 PATs. Nothing special about the 28-yarder, but
they won it with special teams and defense.
That's right. Totally outgained by Buffalo. This kick is much shorter at the 42, and Wilkins gambles and is hit immediately by Andre Davis. Davis, who has become a star, and Sharon praising him. He said they're having to double and triple team him as a gunner, and he got through clean for that tackle. With 1:22 left in this first quarter, the Colts get the ball for the second time. Buffalo is true to their game plan, consumed as much time as they can. 8:06 on the opening drive that led to a 3-0 lead. From the 42, Manning in the first Indianapolis possession, 3 and out. Off play action, and then the throw to Dominique Rhodes, and there's the first down for the Colts to the 46 of Buffalo. Safe hands. Well, let's just check on the flag first.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 86, an eligible receiver, was covered up on the line of scrimmage by another eligible receiver. This is a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
It's not UTEC's fault. He was covered up by someone else, or he should have been off the line. So that denies a 11, 12-yard gain and takes the ball back to the 37, first and 15.
Well, and Buffalo did a very nice job. Watch their corners and their defensive backs, especially their corners, and see where they're aligned. Because they're going to give them an early look that they're way off the ball. And as soon as they think Peyton's going to snap it, you'll see him move up earlier and try to give him what they're really going to give him.
And you see McGee at least creeping up, and then the handoff inside to Rhodes. Skips out of one tackle and finally wrapped out by London Fletcher Baker after a good game to the 47.
And Dick, the problem, if you're doing that with your corners and you're keeping two safeties back, I'll do the math on that. That's only 7 in the box. If you do that against Peyton, he's not going to hesitate to give you the run.
2nd and 5, complete to UTEC, and the tight end who's becoming more and more prominent in this Indianapolis attack. He's in his 3rd year for Minnesota. Has been injury plagued his first 2 years. A former hockey goalie in high school. His high school team finished 2nd in the Minnesota championships. So he could kick and save it, and he's got pretty good hands too.
And at that range, that ball probably looks like a puck.
First down at the 43, and that is the end of the opening quarter in Indianapolis. We'll return to the Hoosier State after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. And to the second quarter we go here at the RCA Dome. Dick Enberg with Randy Cross, and a look at the early statistics, and most important there, that opening drive of Buffalo for the field goal and consuming nearly 12 minutes of the first quarter. We start the second with the Colts first down at the Bills 43. Dominic Rhodes behind Manning. Fake to Rhodes. Throw down the middle. Dallas Clark, the other tight end. First down inside the 20. Clark with his 22nd catch of the season.
You can't ask for a better play by Kawaki Thomas. He's got the slot there working against Dallas Clark, but this is just a perfect throw by Peyton Manning. You kind of get tired of hearing that all the time, but it is a perfect throw against very good coverage and having faith in the receiver being in the right spot.
Rookie Joseph Adai into the game for the first time, and he gets the carry. The former LSU star pounds his way down to the 16-yard line. Ryan Denny, the tackler.
And that was another. You talked about Kawaki Thomas and the play he made on the last play. There was a very good play by him in run defense. So they giveth and they taketh away too, because Dallas Clark tried to block him and he stuffed that play up, and that was why that play got nothing. Was a nice job out of the defensive back.
Kawaki Thomas played his college ball at Georgia Southern. Stays in the game on 2nd down and 7. Quick fake, the throw underneath, right back to Adai. They like him a lot. He's to the 11-yard line. Angelo Crowell made the tackle. Just shy of the first down. Looks as if it'll be about 3rd and a yard and a half.
Well, what Buffalo's giving him too. Here's Kawaki Thomas, okay? Linebacker. So basically they're giving him a 4-2-5. So 5 defensive backs in. They're giving him a basic nickel, but they're trying to make it look like a regular defense.
Calling it 3rd and a long one, just outside the 10. The Colts are the best in the league converting 3rd downs, 57%. Adai finds the hole. First down at the 5. 1st and goal. Ohio State rookie Dante Whitner from safety spot made the tackle.
Well, how often do we talk about patience? Well, patience usually means a veteran back. There's nothing here, nothing there. Then he waits long enough. A defender overcommits, and there's a huge hole opens up. That is great patience by a young running back.
So Manning and the Colts driving toward the lead on 1st and goal at the 5. Adai stays in. And that'll cost 5 as Jake's got the right guard.
Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
That's a bad penalty. First and goal at the 5 or first and goal at the 10.
Well, is it good news or bad news? Is it bad news because you're backing them up, or is it good news because you're giving Marvin and Wayne more room to work with?
That's right. That's always the hazard.
It's hard to say as a defense if you want a shorter area to cover.
Harrison to the right, Wayne to the left. Manning and Harrison have connected on 99 touchdown passes in their incredible partnership here with the Colts. Manning pumps underneath and almost intercepted. Dallas Clark had it skip through his hands and almost into the midst of Kewauke Thomas in the right spot again.
Well, what they're doing for him is they've decided we're going to put a defensive back. We're going to basically put a nickel guy safety, Kewauke Thomas, on Dallas Clark, who does a very nice job of breaking that pass up. They like that matchup better. You saw how physical Thomas could be in the run, and he's able to cover much better.
So second and goal at the 10. Manning. Little short toss to Adai. He has blockers and he drives close to the goal line before he's smothered by Buffalo tacklers at the 1-yard line. Angelo Crowell gets off the bottom of the pile along with London Fletcher. He's always around the ball, the leading tackler again for Buffalo.
Nice play. Nice fake right here by Adai in the hole, making Kewauke Thomas trying to come in from the backside, miss him, and get him that extra 3 yards and almost got a touchdown.
Third and goal, 1-yard line. Adai, the lone back behind Manning.
This is a physically very powerful young running back out of LSU, Joseph Adai.
To Wayne, touchdown! He beat Terrence McGee, but what a throw by Manning!
Dick, how many times in practice Friday did we see them do the exact same thing? I mean, that looked like practice.
That was a perfect throw. It was good coverage by McGee.
Well, it's a faith throw by Peyton Manning because he has the faith that his receiver is going to be in the spot he throws the ball, and he throws it to the absolutely perfect spot. Nothing against McGee. Terrence McGee played that play perfectly.
Extra point by Vinatieri. Reggie Wayne with his 6th touchdown of the season. Manning now has thrown 18, and the Colts lead it 7-3. Now that's only appropriate that Mom should wind up with a touchdown ball. Reggie Wayne with a score. The New Orleans combination, Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne, two natives of the Crescent City, combining for their 6th touchdown of the season. Vinatieri boots it high, and the spinner comes down to McGee at the 2. Fumbles the ball, and a scramble outside the 25-yard line, and it appeared that there was a white jersey in the right spot to deny the Colts the turnover. Might have been Jim Leonard who was down low to dig it out. So a timeout with 11 minutes remaining in the opening half, and the Colts in front 7-3. Leonard was the man. Back in Indianapolis, and often this is Peyton Manning and his teammates studying the Polaroid shots. You see the other wide receivers and tight end UTEC. He says he likes to look at those because he can only see a half the field. He wants to know what's happening on the other back half, especially that safety on the opposite side of a throw.
That whole meeting on the sideline, looking at the Polaroids, that's his only chance to talk to his receivers because they never huddle up. If they don't talk on the sideline, they don't talk till halftime.
Well, it's a meeting of the minds as Lossman is slowed down, and then Booger McFarland gets the sack. The pressure again comes from Freeney. He doesn't get a sack. That's been the story of his season, but he set it up for McFarland.
What does Freeney have to do coming off the corner to get a sack? Watch him working right there. Oh, my goodness. I mean, he's got his upper body. He's got Jason Peters beat. That's a sack. But Lossman shrugs out of it just in time to get a Booger McFarland facial.
McFarland's first sack as a Colt. He had 20 in his career at Tampa Bay, first 7 seasons. Thomas Wrestled out of bounds by David and Morris. Cato June there as well.
See, obviously, Dick Duran and Steve Fairchild, as offensive coordinator, are not going to give them too many chances to do what they just did, which was pass rush as wild and crazy as they want. They're going to run the draws. They're going to be very conservative, and they're just going to try to hope that their defense can get them a turnover.
Well, the 2 times they have been stopped, it's been a sack. Remember, it was Mathis down near the goal line on their last possession. And what a kick by Mormon. He sends a spiral to Wilkins at the 6. He's going to let it bounce, and then it's down quickly by Sam Aiken. What a boot by Mormon. 60 yards. No return. Well, as you can see, the new stadium for the Colts taking shape. That's just adjacent to where we sit at the moment. It will seat some 70,000 plus, and they can expand it. Now here we are again inside the 20. Only this time for the Colts, and unlike the Bills, they're able to move it downfield. They lead 7-3, start from the 9. The punt officially was 61 yards. Handoff inside is to Dominique Rhodes, and he powers his way close to a first down before Takeo Spikes can make the stop.
Well, they're giving him that same look with the 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs, really making Kiwaki Thomas play basically a linebacker position working against Dallas Clark. But I think one of the more significant things you have to mention is the fact that Aaron Schobel hasn't been in the game.
Schobel with 7 sacks leading the Bills, and Drew Raves from Tony Dungy, the Colts coach, said he's the best pass rusher he'd seen this year.
Hargrove's in there, 93.
Rhodes able to skip over a couple of tacklers and make the first down across the 20-yard line. Terrence McGee made a good stop at the corner. Rhodes stays in. First down at the 20. Clock ticking away. 8:20 remaining in this first half. Manning, throw back, and wide open is Utek. And he sprints out for about 6 before McGee can get him down. 2nd and 4.
That's a double screen, Dick. They set up to look like a screen to the other side, to the right side, to Dallas Clark, and threw it to the left side to Ben Utek. And it's one of the great deals. See, Utek is more of a real tight end. 6'6", about 255 pounds or so. Dallas Clark is much more of the receiving side of the business.
And with Brandon Stokely out most of the season with a knee, the 2 tight ends being used more and more in the offense. Not a lot of 3 wides by the Colts. Heard him identify 51 Spikes, and then he gives to Rhodes, who has another first down for the Colts at the 33. Well, they've watched Buffalo run the ball, and with the Bills playing pass, Manning, he's not selfie. He didn't need the passing numbers. You want to give me a 5-6 yard run every play, I'll take it.
And Jeff Saturday, the Pro Bowl center for the Indianapolis Colts, is actually kind of smiled Friday when we talked to him, and I said, hey, what's it like playing against guys your own size? You're going to play a defense that actually is about the size of you guys. You're not giving away 30, 40, 50 pounds.
It's not a big team on either side of the ball. Saturday's 295, the center. Throw underneath Utek. He's hit hard at the 40-yard line, but another 7-yard gain. London Fletcher Baker makes the stop along with Takeo Spikes. There he is, London Fletcher Baker, the 99th consecutive start. He's had a good year. 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, a fumble return for a touchdown, 75 tackles. He'll be the #1 tackler if he continues 8 out of the last 8 years.
You saw him trying to rip that ball out, he and Takeo Spikes. They've got to find a way to get a turnover for their offense.
2nd and short.
Which is a scary down when you're a defense against this offense.
And a whistle sounds, and the linesman comes in to converse with Corrente.
There is no foul in the play. Offensive tackle made an adjustment with his feet, which is legal. The play clock will stay at 5 seconds. We'll go on my signal.
Well, if you stop play, don't you have to
play
pump up the clock?
Will be adjusted to 10 seconds. So
okay.
The play clock operator, please reset to 10 seconds.
Now we go 5 to 10.
Well, to hit to Peyton, that's a whole lot of signaling and gesticulations.
Oh, that's conducting the orchestra again. Hand off Rhodes. And Dominic Rhodes out to the 47-yard line. First down again for the Colts. Oh, the Bengals gnashing their teeth. 21-0 early against the Chargers. Here's the draw. And it's Rhodes not fooling the Bills defense. Well read by Buffalo's Takeo Spikes and company. Spikes, they've welcomed him back after the Achilles a year ago and then a hamstring that cost him 4 games this season. Now finally feeling at full strength.
Oh, he was injured after that, almost right after the opening play in the opening game when he sacked Tom Brady, caused the fumble, which was returned for a touchdown, and he missed most of a better part of a month after that.
2nd and 10. Manning over the middle, complete to Wayne. And Reggie Wayne a first down at the 37. Terrence McGee the coverage. And again, the ball is in such a perfect spot. Pretty good coverage.
Well, Terrence McGee, see, he's working inside. He's not going to get that outside position. And Peyton puts it where just his guy, Reggie Wayne, can reach for it and get it. And there's no hope for the cornerback McGee to get in there and try to knock it away.
6 completions in a row for Manning as the Colts driving with a 7-3 lead. 4:20 left in the half. A die in the backfield now for Indianapolis. And it's a die on that stretch. 30. And all the way to the 21-yard line with his longest run of the half. Ko Simpson, the safety, makes the tackle. And the Colts just moving the ball on the ground. 16 on that play.
Watch Peyton Manning come around the running back to hand off the ball. It was kind of a mini stretch. He stretches, and gives it to him as a draw. I mean, they've really adjusted this running game well. You know, Dominic Rhodes now instead of Edgerrin James, it's been a real combination effort between these 2 running backs, and they've adjusted it, and they run different styles of plays.
Fake to a die. The throw to the end zone is batted away. It was intended for Dallas Clark, and Angelo Crowell able to leap up and get one hand on it. That had touchdown written all over it. Crowell makes a good play.
It was an excellent reach out there by Crowell, but you know, if you're the underdog and you're in a place like the RCA Dome against Peyton Manning and he throws a ball that close to you, you got to catch it. You know, you need the turnover. That's the kind of play your defense has to make for it.
See Indianapolis using the ground game, and I don't think Marvin Harrison's caught a pass yet.
No, they've pretty much taken him away with double coverage.
It is a little bobble and almost bobbled it into the arms of the Bills as Adai had trouble finding the handle. Joseph Adai, a left-handed option quarterback in high school in Houston. Pretty good basketball player as well, but that pass almost handcuffed him, a little low.
And that's what, when the ball gets available, kind of like the last one with Crowell, when the ball gets available, you've got to take advantage of it, because Peyton Manning, frankly, isn't going to make the ball available more than 3 or 4 times in a game. And available is when it's in the air like that.
Only 3 passes intercepted all season through 8 games. 3rd and 10. Lots of time underneath to UTEC. Tackled short of the first down by about a yard. Let's see what Tony Dungy, no, quickly sends out Vinatieri for the field goal.
Oh yeah, you kick this. You know, and Buffalo's doing a nice job defensively, and that's just not getting beat deep, taking away Marvin Harrison. They're basically double teaming him, and Peyton's taking what's available underneath the tight ends and running backs and the slant stuff to a receiver like Reggie Wayne, but they're not going to be beaten deep, and I like this decision. Get your points and put a little pressure on J.P. Lossman and the other offense to try to get on the field and score some points.
Vinatieri has been perfect here in the RCA Dome. His only 2 misses, of course, last week at New England. 17 for 19, and it's 10-3. Veterans Day weekend, and yes, indeed, thank you, USA troops. There's some 20 million veterans, military veterans in this country alive, and we salute each and every one of you, young and old. Well, it was a long drive, 78 yards. Manning never satisfied unless he gets a touchdown. Studies the film. They called him caveman at Tennessee. He's always studying in the dark. He was watching film so much.
It's just a more expensive cave now.
10-3, and McGee, and the little trickery gives to Leonard. And Leonard on the handoff spins out across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Didn't fool the Colts that much. Now J.B. Lossman and the Bills take the field. 2:34 left in the half. Look at the second quarter action for Indianapolis. Most of that yardage on the ground, 125 yards. Buffalo only 2. Lossman, and it's Thomas wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage. A yard loss, in fact, is Nick Harper slashing in from the corner to make the tackle.
He's coming off that backside corner where they've got a tight end. They had a slot receiver to the other side, and as soon as he read run, it basically turned into a blitz from the backside corner. And that's what you're going to do against this offense unless J.P. Lossman and his receivers can prove to the Indianapolis Colts that they can get the ball down the field. Ron Meeks, the defensive coordinator, is just going to go into full attack the run mode.
That comes down to the 2-minute warning. You have the sense that the Bills would not be unhappy with a 10-3 halftime score. And we'll return to Indianapolis after we pause for these special messages. As you see, Dick Geron's Bills not productive in the final 2 minutes of the half. Geron, the Yale University star, once described by a friend as Tom Landry in a different hat. He's a taciturn sort, very low key, always thinking ahead, however. And he is going to throw the ball. No one expected that, and it's incomplete. As Peerless Price, the intended receiver, and Lossman hits the deck under pressure from Nick Harper.
Well, he wasn't exactly wasting time back there because Dwight Freeney gets in there and lays a little wood on him. Doesn't really knock him down. The knock back kind of puts him on the ground. But that was excellent defense. That was a smother job by the Colts. And look for another smother job here. They'll be looking for the draw. But everything they're going to expect has got to be in about the 7 to 8 yard range.
Colts with all 3 timeouts, so there's a lot of time should they hold here, and they give it to Thomas. Thomas doesn't get the first down. He's out the 39-yard line, and Indianapolis will spend one of those 3 timeouts. It comes with 1:50 left in the half. Things hardly blue when you're unbeaten on the season again at the start, 8-0. Colts in a festive manner as they're going to get the ball here with a chance to expand on their 10-3 lead. Mormon, let's see how far he kicks this one with Terrence Wilkins back. Another huge hit. Wilkins drifting inside the 10, and fair catches in the same spot, 9-yard line.
You only have to watch this team a couple times, heck, in practice, much less in a real game. Run a 2-minute drill to understand that 91 yards in nothing.
What are the odds we're going to see Harrison make his first catch of the game on this drive?
Pretty good.
He's out to the right side, bottom of your picture. There he goes. Harrison has his first catch. Stops the clock in front of Nate Clements. And for Harrison, his 53rd grab of the year.
You know, Dick, it's funny we talk about that right away because it seems up to this point he wasn't disinterested, he just wasn't involved. He was getting pushed out of bounds and he was clearing areas out, and he knows when it comes to money time, that's Peyton and Marvin time.
11 yards on the play. Manning this time, complete. Other tight end, Brian Fletcher, his first catch today, 10 for the year. Clark, Utek, and Fletcher, the 3 tight ends, all with a catch. Clock ticking at 1:20. 2 timeouts left for Manning and the Colts. Chase this time, throws underneath, right on the money to Adai, and he jumps out of bounds at the 46-yard line. They're making it look very easy.
That's a very non-rookie play by Joseph Adai. Does a nice job checking the blitz on the way out, then he gets the reception and immediately heads out of bounds. Not, you know, it sounds simple, folks, but not everybody does that. Not every young running back does that, and that's one thing that's really impressed Peyton and all the Colts is how mature this young running back is.
And talk about accuracy, bullseye pitching by Manning. He's 13 for 13 in the game. make it 14 in a row. A die nailed at the 50-yard line. Angelo Crowell with a hit.
See, plenty of time now. Just now, under a minute. Still have those 2 timeouts in his pocket for this side of the field.
Manning underneath to Wayne, the touchdown maker, and he has a first down at the 44-yard line. Terrence McGee on the coverage, and Manning will stop the clock at 44 seconds. That's the second timeout used. Brian Fletcher favoring a leg or ankle, leaving the field, the tight end. Correct the numbers on Manning. He's 15 for 19. There you have it, 140 yards and 1 touchdown today. Situation, 1 timeout left for the Colts. They have a first down inside the Bills' 44, leading 10-3.
Imagine this offense when they get Brandon Stokely back in that slot.
And Tony Dungy thinks it'll happen soon. 46 seconds left in this first half. The Bills trying to hold it at 10-3. Not much pressure underneath the throws. Ben Utek. He may have fumbled the ball, and it goes to the Buffalo Bills. Here's the break they were looking for. And the long run by Terrence McGee is for a touchdown. Oh, my, what a turnabout for Buffalo.
As it turned out, it was not Peyton Manning that made that ball available, but nonetheless, it came from the Indianapolis Colts, and the third time was the charm. The first one was a near interception. The second one was a tip ball. And the third one is a nice job by Crowell causing the fumble, and McGee is right there on the money for the touchdown return on the fumble.
So Crowell, a little showmanship on the part of McGee, backing his way into the end zone. He knows how to get there. He has 4 kickoff return touchdowns, and he scoops that one up and takes it all away for 67 yards. And a chance to tie here on the Lindell extra point. And did that ever put a hush on this sellout of 55,000 at the RCA Dome? Lindell, and it's even at 10-all. What a big play as Terrence McGee returns the fumble for a touchdown to tie.
Crowell just comes in, strips right down through Utek's arms, and defensive teams do this drill time after time after time, but this time couldn't be more perfectly timed.
Terrence McGee scooping up the fumble forced by that man, Angelo Crowell, and going officially now 68 yards for the touchdown.
Dick, scoring is not out of the question for Indianapolis. They have a timeout left. They've got this high-powered offense. We've already seen Wilkins bring the ball up to around the 35-40 yards, it seems like, a couple of times. That's the bogey right there. That's the line they want. Get the ball at least to the 35, and you can turn Peyton Manning loose.
Last week, Wilkins, who played his college ball at Virginia and played up in Canada at Calgary last year and played well enough that the Colts, who picked him as a free agent in '99, took him back, and it's been a good acquisition. He knows how to follow that wedge. Darts out across the 25 to the 28-yard line. Manning has 26 seconds and 1 timeout to try to engineer a drive to regain the lead.
To basically get 37 yards. You have to try to get to a 35, 36-yard line for Adam Vinatieri. That would mean a 53, 54-yard field goal, but that's still in this hermetically sealed environment for a kicker like Vinatieri, especially for important kicks. That's all. He's money in the bank.
2-time Pro Bowler with New England. 10 years with the Patriots, and probably one of the greatest clutch kickers in the history of the game.
He probably doesn't know what to do with himself indoors like this. Comes from South Dakota State, kicks in the snow in New England, and now he's in a big living room.
What a paradise. Manning pumps and then lobs the ball almost into the arms of the on-rushing linebacker Crowell as he overthrew Dominique Rhodes.
So, there's another example, Dick, of that making the ball available. Now, for the 4th time, we said it only happens about 4 times a game, and that ball was available. I think if Crowell had actually been expecting the ball to be overthrown, which when Manning makes some mistakes, it shocks the defenders as much as it does the crowd.
Going to hand off to Rhodes this time. And Rhodes meets resistance after a gain of about 4. Crowell, who's had a huge opening half, makes another tackle. And the clock perhaps ticking down. That might be it for this opening half. No chances taken by Tony Dungy after what happened on that last possession. A 68-yard fumble return for a touchdown by Terrence McGee off a hit by that man, 55, Angelo Crowell, giving the Bills a touchdown and a tie at the intermission. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. The Buffalo Bills did it to Green Bay last week. They used the defensive touchdown to earn a victory, and a fumble return has got them even as we go to the second half, Randy.
Yeah, well, Dick, normally we do highlights, but right now the highlight is your Indiana University induction into their Hall of Fame on the ceremony this Friday night. And then the IU fans saluted you at the halftime of the Hoosiers game against Michigan. And for what, I mean, you only earned a master's and a doctorate at Bloomington. And look at this, the great Dr. Enberg. You've now entered your 8th Hall of Fame, and to that we must all add, everybody on the crew, our own little personal oh my.
Thank you very much, Randy. You know, it's Thomas Wolfe was wrong. You can go home when it's going home to your university. You've had the same feeling at UCLA, and people have been so kind. But let's get to business here. We got a game to do. It's 10-all. What do the stats look like?
Well, the stats are really kind of misleading, because when you look at the stats, you'd go, oh my, the Buffalo Bills must be getting killed. But they got that big play we talked about. They had to have the help. Indianapolis had to make a mistake, and they did. And that big touchdown return by Terrence McGee. It's been a lot of Peyton Manning. It's been a lot of offense for the Indianapolis Colts, but not enough points. And it's really followed pretty much perfectly the game plan by Dick Duran and the Buffalo Bills. It's exactly what they want to see.
And much like last week when they gained over 184 yards to 427 by Green Bay, a 243 difference, the biggest in their history, still won the game. Game is being broadcast to you today in high definition here on CBS, home of Super Bowl 41. We read that just as a tag at the start of the year, but as we get to midseason, that Super Bowl 41 looms ever closer.
And we'll talk about it more and more. In fact, you're going to hear about it constantly here in Indianapolis, but they've got to keep their eye on what's going on. But that should be their ultimate goal. It shouldn't be being perfect. They've got to win a Super Bowl here, and that would be a huge feather in Peyton's cap. It'd be the last piece of the resume he needs.
Yeah, much like Elway late in his career. This kick comes down short, so Wilkins on a dead run fields it just by the 20. Meets some resistance and is dropped at the 25-yard line. Coy Wire among the tacklers. Here comes Manning and the Colts offense. And there are the 5 possessions of the opening half.
Now remember the 4 times that Peyton in that offense made that ball available. And that's what this second half will be about. If he can stay accurate, if they can keep the ball off the ground, and if they can keep the ball unavailable to Buffalo, there probably isn't a way that Buffalo can win. But when you have an upset, it's always because the other guy cooperates.
And the fumble return touchdown. When you get a defensive touchdown, that does correlate strongly with upset wins. See how Manning and the Colts play at the start of the second half. He comes out throwing. Hit from behind, but gets it off to Dominic Rhodes. And Rhodes sidesteps one tackler and makes it to the 29. Crowell gets him to the artificial carpet. It'll be 2nd and 1.
And Dick, again, this Buffalo defense opens up the first half like they opened up, or the second half the way they opened up the first half, very soft, being very sure they're not going to get beat deep. So there's going to be stuff to Rhodes. There'll be stuff to Clark and Utek. Underneath is very available.
Wayne to the left, a touchdown catch from 1 yard out for the Colts score. And Harrison to the right with Dallas Clark in the slot right. Ooh, Manning tripping as he comes back from center, but gets the handoff successfully to Dominique Rhodes, who has the first down at the 39-yard line. Larry Triplett, the former Colt, makes the tackle.
Peyton's he's a veteran of getting out of there quickly, but he gets tripped up on that play. It was more a case of Jake Scottish, right guard, getting a piece of his ankle than the fact that the turf monster got him.
Again, you see how loose those linebackers are, well off the ball. not even in the picture. Finally, one of the corners creeps in. It's Nate Clements, and the throw goes to UTEC, and he's out to the 50-yard line, depending on where they spot it, close to another first down. Clements makes the tackle.
And the first half for Marvin Harrison he wasn't really involved. Like I said earlier, he was just kind of there. They were having him covered. They weren't letting him down the field. They were pushing him out of bounds. And then finally in the 2-minute drill, they got him involved.
First down just shy of midfield for Indianapolis. Opening possession here in the second half, tied at 10. And back on the ground to Rhodes. Good hole. And he charges close to another first down. That'll be a 9-yard gain. Takeo spikes. Makes the initial hit.
And one of the unusual things about this defense is they're so soft on the backside and so aggressive on the front side. And that's what Indianapolis is taking advantage of. They're getting up the field so quickly and being so aggressive. You know, Tim Anderson, the defensive tackle, just went screaming in there, and they took advantage of that aggressiveness.
10 carries, 55 yards for Rhodes, averaging 5.5 a pop. Underneath, complete to Harrison. Look at him. That quick feet. Elude a couple of potential tacklers and has a first down at the 31. London Fletcher finally makes the stop.
Well, early on, it was Marvin Harrison clearing out areas for the other receivers. On that play, it was Ben Utek, the tight end, clearing out that area so that Marvin Harrison came underneath the big tight end and had plenty of rumbling rooting underneath.
Manning, 19 out of 24. That's a second catch by Harrison. Again, they're one touchdown away from 100, the all-time mark, by far the most prolific touchdown combination in NFL history. Manning had plenty of time but could not find. Looked to be Harrison breaking open over the middle, covered by Fletcher. Six catches for UTEC, the backup tight end, with a die out of the backfield, and Reggie Wayne 1 yard on the touchdown grab. Harrison has 2.
It's all been about underneath, inside of 10 yards from the ball. Most of these passes have been completed.
That stretch handoff going to Rhodes, and he's down to the 25-yard line. They bring up third down and about 3.5. Clements makes the tackle. And one thing about this Buffalo Bills defense, the two guys on the corner, unlike a lot of men at that position, McGee and Clements, as a pair, may be the best tackling tandem in the league.
And they will come up and they will smack you. They will come up and be physical with a receiver and a running back.
Joseph Adai in now, and Manning on this occasion, third and a long 3 out of the shotgun. You're right down there with Manning on the call. Quick throw to the sidelines. Is it a catch to Wayne? Yes. What a throw and catch again. How did he get it in there? Over McGee. McGee's going to have nightmares tonight.
Dick, if you've never seen them live or you've never watched it practice, you would say that is the luckiest thing I've ever seen. But they do that time after time after time in practice. That is all drilled. That was a precision throw.
19 yards, first and goal at the 5. Adai, the running back. And it's the rookie with a handoff. And he has a touchdown. .214-pound rookie Joseph Adai, his third rushing touchdown of his initial season.
A real key to an excellent run by a running back, especially in this area when you're a regular offense, your receivers have to block. And 99 touchdowns between Peyton and Marvin, and that was by the perennial all-pro receiver Marvin Harrison.
Vinatieri for the extra point as Adai culminates a 74-yard drive. Took 9 plays. Well orchestrated, no risk there, and the Colts back in front, 17-10. Nothing like a touchdown to get those horseshoes a-kicking. 17-10 on a 74-yard drive in 9 plays, 5 yards on the touchdown by Adai, and a 17-10 lead. So with that loose coverage protecting against the pass engineered by Buffalo, the Colts have taken what given and they've run it well today. Then a Terry booming kick here to Terrence McGee right at the goal line. McGee. Boy, look at the maneuverability, and now in the clear at the 50. One man to beat at the 30. And finally ridden out of bounds by Antoine Bethea, the safety. The rookie saved the touchdown, but Terrence McGee does it again all the way to the 11-yard line. Now they're going to mark it at the 12.
What a great advantage for Bobby April, the special teams coach of the Buffalo Bills, when you say, look, I've got Terrence McGee. My guys just have to get on a guy, on the players, give him a crack, give him a crease, let him have time to read the coverage team. If he has the time to read it, he is going to go a long way. That was very good execution, but don't be fooled. That was more natural ability by Terrence McGee.
In midfield, as he did a couple of head bobs and shoulder fakes to free himself. Now on first down at the 12, it's Thomas driving just inside the 10.
You know, we talked about how disproportionate the stats are. You were mentioning the whole running thing. You know, Indianapolis running the ball good. Buffalo, on the other hand, not too great. But when Bobby April's special teams gives you this kind of field position, you can stay dedicated to the run. You don't have to press and do something dumb.
McGee, the star for Buffalo, a touchdown on the fumble return of 68. Now an 88-yard kickoff return. Fans trying to help the defense. 2nd and 8. Lossman. And the pass is complete to Price, but for a loss, as it was well read by Nick Harper.
You know, that's also a play that, with all their stable of receivers, that's a play for Roscoe Parrish. That's a play for the little water bug guy. You want to get the ball in air and make him see if he can make something happen. And you saw they were trying to get the block in there, but Nick Harper wasn't having any of that and forced right through everything to break that up.
Well, at the start of the game on the opening possession, when Buffalo drove deep on 3rd, in this situation they ran the ball. And we have a timeout as Marlon Jackson, who is replacing the injured Bob Sanders, is down on the play. We'll check his condition when we come back. Welcome back. 3rd and 10 for Buffalo at the 12. Lossman hasn't had a lot of success on 3rd down passing, as you can see.
Well, he doesn't have to throw a touchdown here for Dick Duran, but he sure as heck does not. Worse, cannot throw an interception.
Yeah, they want to be sure they get the field goal. Duran elected to run in this situation early in the game, but he's going to throw this time. And Lossman looking, throws underneath and complete, trying to hit his tight end Robert Royal. Well, on comes the field goal unit. Just to duck in a statistical note for Buffalo, Terrence McGee, who has 4 kickoff return touchdowns, that 88-yard return to set up this field goal is the longest non-scoring in Bills history. Brings up a name familiar. Don Beebe took one 85 yards and 89. McGee now with the longest non-scoring.
Hey, Dwight Freeney, too, Dick, is putting on lots of pressure, but as the story of his 2006 season has been, he's not getting home.
30-yard try by Lindell. And the return on the kickoff by McGee leads to that 3-pointer. And with 8:47 left in the 3rd quarter, the Colts lead reduced to 4. And welcome back to Indianapolis. And I'm sure you'll be watching 60 Minutes tonight, a tribute to our colleague Ed Bradley. Well, only 4 plays and the field goal after McGee's 88-yard kickoff return. And now Lindell to send it toward Terrence Wilkins, another dangerous man on return, and it's a short kick at the 10. On full speed, grabbing at the ball, and that was close to forcing a fumble. Wilkins down at the 28. Timeout, 8:42 left in the 3rd. Welcome back to Kenburg with Randy Cross, Suzanne Smith, our director, Bob Ponsbach, our producer here in Indianapolis. Manning and the Colts start at the 29. Adai, the runner behind the quarterback. Fake to him, and then the screen to Dallas Clark, the tight end, who's upended after a gain of a couple. Takeo spikes down low for the tackle.
Peyton doesn't mind it. You want to slow this game down to a waltz, he'll dance with it. He's very patient.
He showed that on the first drive of the second half for the touchdown. Fake to a die. And traffic goes it right back to a die. Tackled at the 40. First down. Crowell the stop.
And that's just a little thing, but it's so important. You know, Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, and Peyton Manning almost work with one brain. And one of the things that they can't control is what a guy does with the ball after he catches it. And Joseph Adai split defenders. Sounds simple, but not everybody will do that. He split the defenders and got the extra 2 yards.
First down at the 40-yard line. Moore has been here for 9 years with Manning, along with Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach. A rare stability on any franchise. 9 years to have their head coach come in to join the offensive coordinator the same and the line coach the same. The only team in the NFL. Here's a dive. Look at that quick first step for him. And it's a world, we all know it has him as flag down. Some interesting circles, and one involves Tom Moore to show you how history goes round and round. He recruited Dungy to the University of Minnesota. Tony said it was the first time I ever was on an airplane, flew from Detroit up to Minneapolis, and Tom Moore recruited Dungy. They were together at Pittsburgh for a couple of years, and now here rejoined on the coaching staff in Indianapolis.
Personal foul, illegal crackback block, offense number 44. 15-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Well, that'll bring a grimace from Moore.
Well, what that is, Dick, is that's coming from outside of the zone, outside of that clip zone, and then coming into it and making a low block. And, you know, Tony Dungy is a guy that he knows that full well. I mean, here's 44 right there, Dallas Clark. Now he's going to come back inside. Now that's right in the zone, and it's a clip right behind that left leg. You know you can't do that, but sometimes your enthusiasm gets the better of you.
You saw Crowell just jump up and point at the official as soon as he was hit from the side. A die. Boy, look at that move. Kid has done a great job of filling in for Edgerrin James. He was available late in the first round in last year's draft, a 30th man pick. He was a college freshman at LSU behind some pretty good backs, Dominique Davis and LeBrandon Tofield, both in the NFL.
Well, he really got the scouts' attention, I think, not only on the tape from last season, but at the Senior Bowl. I was down there watching him. He ran with it, he caught it, he blocked. He really proved he's an all-around back, and he's proving it even more so his rookie year.
He's over the 500-yard mark rushing with his yards today. That's best rookie in the league. Ooh, a dangerous pass underneath to Marvin Harrison, who was going to be sandwiched hard. He was wise enough to get down. He was going to get belted.
Yeah, but Clemens didn't have that advantage. Watch.
He gets hit by his own man, Kroll.
You're rarely. We talk all the time about running backs not taking big shots. When was the last time you remembered Marvin Harrison taking a clean blow?
Yes,
it's always a glancing thing.
That 10th sense to be out of the way of a bad contact. Third and long now for Manning at 3rd and 15. Again, a four-man rush and a very loose secondary. Manning throws to the sidelines and throws it away. Harrison was working the sidelines, but he had 3 men following him. So one of the few unexciting offensive possessions for the Colts.
And also a very nice job by the officials on the sideline. Both of them right there were hatless briefly, because as soon as Clemens pushed Marvin Harrison, he pushed him out of bounds. You saw how he just stopped running. He didn't stop running for no reason. He knew he was out on that white line. There's nothing you could do about that pass.
Hunter Smith to Roscoe Parrish, getting a chance here at the 17. And Parrish 3-4 yards out to the 23-yard line. And without a timeout, just under 6 to go. Third quarter, Colts by 4. And welcome back to Indianapolis. Let's go back to that last pass play for Harrison.
The kind of the game within the game. See the officials' hats are off. He's out of bounds. Peyton's not happy, but I guarantee you they're setting up that defense.
Flag down, and so is Peerless Price on a short pass play.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, contact to the head of the quarterback, defense number 91. 15-yard penalty, Automatic first down.
Josh Thomas, who grew up in Orchard Park, New York, the home of the Buffalo Bills, number 91. Well, actually, it's 51, isn't it?
That was Gilbert Gardner. You're right. But they've got, like Freeney, when he's come in from the backside, that one time he almost had him. He very easily, he brushed right over the top of the head.
Yeah, the fans on the replay don't agree, and that was tough to see the foul. Let the Bills take the yardage, and now the handoff is to Anthony Thomas out across the 40 to the 41, a gain of 3. Fans are not happy a bit here at the RCA Dome.
Well, but face it, on most weeks, it's not consistently the same, but on most weeks, the officials are going to take ultra care of the quarterbacks. We saw Carson Palmer get pummeled last week. Week before he got pummeled.
He's the one exception to our experiences this year. Quick throw underneath, and it's to Peerless Price. Tackled immediately, short of the first down. Nick Harper, the cover man. It'll be 3rd down and a long 1.
I don't know about that spot. That seemed a little bit on the severe side. He got a little closer to the first down marker, I thought. But, when you're getting this kind of passing game going, it's hard to get real pressure on the quarterback. But you're sure setting yourself up for a defensive back taking a guess and taking one back.
Lossman, not even close to a receiver. Peerless Price was cutting inside, and the tight end going outside.
Did you see what Nick Harper did? Remember what I just said about somebody's going to take a chance and take a guess? Nick Harper cheated inside and basically had position on that interception. If J.P. Lossman would have thrown that directly to the receiver, he'd have gone back with it.
So a good incomplete pass for Lossman, who hasn't uncorked that right arm very often today. He's only thrown the ball 9 times, 6 for 9. Wilkins back. And Mormon, a fake, and Mormon's got some running room. He gets out of bounds at midfield with a first down. And it's Dexter Reed covering it, and that's a play that the Bills have used about once or twice a year. Mormon running the ball. He's a good athlete.
Well, you forget, for the ineptness at times of this offense, and the defense has had its moments of brilliance. Bobby April's one of the better special teams coaches in the league, and this is one of the better special teams units in the league. And they beat Green Bay because of the special teams, and they get that first down because of the special teams.
Anthony Thomas throwing a good block. Mormon was the 3-time national high school 400-meter hurdle champion and is in the Hall of Fame as a high school hurdler. So he can run it, and so can the A-Train, who bangs his way down to the Colts 46-yard line before Jason David can shoulder him down.
A running back has to know who he is, and that's a great example, that last play, of Anthony Thomas knowing who he is. He could have danced, could have made a cut outside, do something fancy, but he just chose the shortest distance between 2 points, and that particular point happened to be the front of the helmet of Jason David.
Son of a retired police officer in Winfield, Louisiana. Here's the long throw, and far over the head of Lee Evans. They try to get Evans deep a time or two in a game. He was successful against Green Bay last week for a touchdown bomb.
That just wasn't a very good pass, because for the first time in a while he had real good protection.
Yeah, look at the scoring here in Indianapolis. 3-0 it was when Reggie Wayne caught a 1-yard touchdown pass. And here's the big play of the game. Utech, the tight end, fumbled, and Terrence McGee picked it up for Buffalo just before the end of the first half and went 68 yards for a touchdown. Joseph Adai on the first possession of the second half culminated a long drive for the Colts. Couple of field goals by Lindell. Here's the draw to Thomas, and Thomas on 3rd and about 4, hit by Cato June. Again, Michigan against Michigan, ball carrier and tackler, and we'll see where they spot it. It'll be short of the first down.
Oh, you absolutely punt this. I don't care how close you think that might be. You punt this and let Mormon see if he can trap him inside the 5-yard line, give him the long way to go. Yep. You're not going to give Peyton a short field.
Dick Duran able to buy more time on the clock with the fake punt by Mormon. And back comes one of the top kickers in the game. As we said, he played 8-man football, did Mormon, back in Sedgwick, Kansas. He can come from small places and make it all the way to the big leagues of the NFL. This one, a wobbler that's fair caught by Wilkins outside the 10-yard line. 2:43 to go. Colts by 4. Manning and the offense on the field. The favorite Colts trying to become the first team in NFL history to start 2 seasons in a row 9-0. Tony Dungy, their coach, and you were teammate for a year in San Francisco with Tony. Was he a good player?
Well, it was back in '79. It was one of the years we were 2-14, but Tony was exactly kind of like he's as a coach. Very, very precise, very orderly, very squared away. You knew he had something special about him. He learned so much from his experience with Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh.
Right. And he credits Chuck Noll with so much of how he coaches today. And in fact, one of the things that's impressed me, he said, Coach Noll told me, don't look at the roster and see heights and weights of kids. He said, look at the film. Do they play or don't they play? And you look at some of the men on his roster, 5'11", 220 linebackers.
How about Bob Sanders, 5'8", and 200 pounds? Who signs that as a safety?
Yeah, and he's only an all-pro. And
exactly.
He said, judge him by what you see on the film, said Chuck Noll. Here's one, Dominic Rhodes, who probably didn't gather a lot of attention as an undrafted rookie out of Midwest State, Texas. As you see, Baltimore leading by 2 games over Cincinnati. And the Chargers almost picked off as Harrison trying to make a diving catch. We've gotten a lot of balls that have been out there, and one did get away for a touchdown.
Well, we talk about balls having to be thrown by the quarterback in a certain window. Well, Peyton and Marvin are used to forcing those balls into little portholes. And that was a porthole between defenders, and Harrison just couldn't hold on to the fastball.
3rd and 7 with the ball inside the 15.
How respectful is this crowd?
You can hear the voice of Manning reverberating off the ceiling of the dome. Pump fake and then the throw incomplete, but he had a man open. What a defensive dive and deflection by Angelo Crowell, as he had a terrific game.
And they're playing that safe, the defensive backs and linebackers soft and telling them react. And you force Marvin Harrison out of bounds, and the linebacker reacts like that to the ball. I mean, Peyton's doing everything really he can. He's just getting beaten by very precise, very patient defense.
Well, Crowell, whose brother played wide receiver with the Lions several years, Jermaine Crowell. And now the punt by Hunter Smith. And the referee go down as the kick comes out. Flag thrown by the referee, and that's going to be roughing the kicker. Is it going to be the 15 or the 5? It's the 15, first down.
Kicker, defense number 85. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Tight end Kevin Everett trying to block the punt.
If you're going to take that shot, Bobby April, the special teams coach, I know they set this up, but he tells his guys, you take that shot, you better get it. Because if you don't get the ball, you're going to get the punter. That is more acting
yes, it is.
by Hunter Smith than it is roughing by the defender Everett.
Everett actually didn't make contact. There was Hunter coming down on his back when he jumped over him.
Yeah.
But it's 15 yards and a first down out to the 29-yard line. And that's part of the responsibility of any punter. If you can't act, then we'll get somebody who can.
Right. And whatever you do, before you get up, look around. Make sure the official's still looking at you so you look hurt.
And if you don't get the call that time, do it again the next. So first down for the Colts. Let's see how costly that is to the Bills. Flag down, and it'll be a false start, apparently.
What was Rex Ryan
false
telling us?
Offense, number 88. 5-yard penalty remains, first down.
Marvin Harrison getting a little anxious. Must have trying to do something. What did Rex Ryan, the defensive coordinator, told us? That it's big play or turnover, big play was his formula. The coordinator at Ravens. That's as good as a turnover right there. And invariably after a turnover, there's going to be a big play afterwards.
And Dick Duran talked about that. Penalties and returns are first downs. They eat up yards. We count those as first downs, and that's more than one for the Colts. First and 15. Manning again underneath to a dive. Tackled at the 27-yard line. Angelo Crowell, he's having a career game defensively. Of course, playing back, he is waiting for the ball to come to him.
Well, you really have to judge that penalty, too, by another thing is where does Buffalo get the ball back now? They were going to get the ball in amazing field position. Now, best case scenario, you're going to probably be deep in your own territory if Peyton doesn't really make you pay.
2nd and long, final minute and a half of the 3rd quarter. The throw underneath, complete to UTEP. And he's out to the 40, 1st down. Crowell again. It reminds me of back in the days as a kid. I listened to the great voice. Van Patrick was the Detroit Lions announcer, and the star defensive linebacker was Joe Schmidt. And the call would always be as they unpile, and Joe Schmidt. And the writer sent in a letter to Van Patrick saying, "Who's this guy and Joe Schmidt?" It's been and Angelo Crowell today. Not this time, as slashing in on a dive from defensive end position comes Kyle Williams and Ryan Denny. Denny backing up Kelsey and Schobel, the 2 defensive ends. They've got 3 good ones in Buffalo.
And kind of like in the Indianapolis Colts defensive ends case, though, they're getting there quicker. To Lossman, the defensive ends like Schobel and Denny and whatnot are very, very good, but Payton's not holding this ball very long. What they're giving him is the underneath passes, and he doesn't need it but for about 2 seconds to throw it underneath.
Final seconds of the quarter, 2nd and 10. Manning, incomplete. Well covered was UTEP. Crowell was there again along with Nate Clements.
Oh, and Nate Clements knows that if he's not diving to block it and knock it down, he actually tries to catch it. He might have had that ball.
Clements, a former Ohio State Buckeye, 1st round pick. He was the first cornerback taken 5 years ago, and he's been very productive. 20 career interceptions, and 4 of those returned for touchdowns. So when he does catch it, he knows where to go.
Real cat and mouse game between the receivers and these corners as far as how much bump they're giving.
On 3rd and 10. Manning underneath, incomplete to Fletcher. He took a little peek to see where the linebacker was, did Fletcher, and it slips out of his hands. And I won't even tell you who the linebacker was. Yes,
it was Ann Crowell.
How did you know?
that was very good job of protection and setting up the play by Indianapolis, but Mr. Crowell and company are doing such a nice job of keeping everything in front of them, and as soon as Peyton goes to fire that ball, they are reacting.
There's the very dangerous Roscoe Parrish, 2nd-year man from Miami of Florida, one of the smallest men in the league at 106.
We get a motion.
Delay of game defense made a move into the neutral zone or toward the neutral zone, causing an offensive player to move. This 5-yard penalty will keep it at 4th down.
It makes it 4th and 5.
In layman's term, Buffalo flinched and tried to get Indy to flinch.
Were you good at flinching or accepting a flinch?
Well, unfortunately, not always on purpose, but that was one thing you always did. You know, especially I played center for about 3 or 4 years of my 13 years, and you learn to be able to move the ball and flex your fingers on the ball, and defensive linemen and guys on punt teams really react to that.
All right, the 2nd try by Smith, and this one on the final play of the 3rd quarter. A wobbler. Parrish runs up to collect it, and on the dead run has some room to go all the way out to the 37-38 line before Freddie Chiascio can push him out of bounds. We go to the 4th quarter in Indianapolis with the Colts in front by 4. And welcome back, 4th and final quarter, unless we go to overtime, as the Colts trying to make NFL history, win their first 9 games in 2 consecutive seasons. But the Buffalo Bills, especially with their defense, have stayed close, and they have the ball down by only 4 and open play at the 39-yard line. J.P. Lossman been perfect handing off. Not much passing game for the Bills. But they do start with a pass on 1st down, and underneath it goes to Peerless Price, who has nearly 10. Tackled out at the 48-yard line by Rob Morris.
Well, an old movie line from the 70s, a man's got to know his limitations. And right now, Buffalo is showing you they know what they can and can't do right now. And they're staying very conservative with the pass, relying on the run. And they're perfectly content keeping this thing close and hoping they can make something happen late.
No turnovers. There's Thomas, who busted out for a couple, and that's all he needed for a first down to the 50-yard line into the arms of Antoine Bethea. This number 41 Bethea from Howard, 1AA ball. He made the Black College All-American team 3 times, joining the likes of Steve McNair and Shannon Sharp.
He's a good example of not always finding the good players in the obvious spots.
And he was a 6th-round pick to the sideline and complete to Lee Evans, who steps quickly out of bounds at the Colts 42, and that'll be a gain of 8. Jason David and Bethea were there.
We talked about Peyton Manning and that offense being very efficient and being very patient, and suddenly Buffalo and J.P. Lossman have sort of grown a case of the patience, and they're being much more efficient.
Evans now with 4 catches and 46 yards, the primary target for Lossman, who attended UCLA as a freshman and then transferred to Tulane. He said, full of Bruin fans in my family, I wanted to get away from all that pressure. And at Tulane was the backup to Patrick Ramsey until his senior year.
Any action by the offense, timeout. Buffalo. This is their first.
So those valuable timeouts, one spent here at the 13:33 mark in the 4th. You see, trying to become the first to go 9-0. Green Bay, 3 straight years were 8-0, but didn't go consecutively 9-0. On 2nd down and short, it's Thomas spun down at the 41-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 1. Raheem Brock made the tackle. Green Bay back under the Curly Lambeau days. They went 9-0 the first year, 29, but then were beaten at 8-0 the next year, and then they went 9-0 the next. No one's ever done it back to back. Tony Dungy could care less.
Yep. It's all about that ring. That and stopping Buffalo on 3rd down. This has been typical of this Dungy's football team this year, though. A lot of close games.
3rd and 1. Thomas runs left and finds the hole, but the flag is down. And that before the snap usually means 5 against the offense.
False start. Offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
So the turnabout for Dick Geron's Bills on 3rd down. They were 5 for 5 to start the game, and now 0 for 6, and they just made it 5 yards more difficult here. Instead of 3rd and 1, now 3rd and 6.
I'm not even really sure if Kevin Everett, who also had the roughing the kicker, actually really moved that last play.
Lossman complete to Evans, and Evans works the sidelines out of bounds inside the 25 at the 22. Big throw by Lossman. That was a tough throw and catch, but Evans there to snare it. 24-yard play.
Well, Lossman had just enough protection and hung in the pocket. The perfect timing, because obviously Jason David is there. Just that little stumble as he tries to cut underneath the ball, and he can't be in position.
That's a very tough throw. 5 catches, 70 yards for Evans.
There aren't many easy ones, especially against a defense that can run like this.
First down, Thomas. Oh, what a good open field tackle by Marlon Jackson, who's playing that safety spot. If he doesn't bring Thomas down, the A-train has another 10 yards.
On the right side of the screen here, moving as the safety spot. You know, he's not only playing in front of television, a nice big crowd here at RCA, Dick. We'll get into the fact he's got a few other friends here in the building.
Yeah, there they are. 20 elementary school kids from Sharon, Pennsylvania, Musser Elementary, where he went to school. Compliments of Marlon Jackson. He busts them over here. He'll see them after the game and treat them some more.
That's a fumble.
They're going to call him down by contact. Nope, they're going to call Lossman down by contact. Elbow went down. Robert Mathis gets the sack. He's got 2 today.
And he was there in a flash, Dick, coming from that near side, that right side. So it wasn't like he surprised J.P. Lossman. comes right off the quarterback's onside. That's another case of taking care of the quarterback. He was in the grasp. He was in the process of being sacked. Knee wasn't down, but Tony Corrente decided that was a situation the quarterback could be in harm.
So ruled a sack back to the 33-yard line, where it is now 3rd down and a half mile, 21. They've got to get the ball inside the 18 for a first down, and meanwhile they use another timeout, and they've moved themselves into deep field goal position. Down Indianapolis, where the Colts trying to make it 9-0 to start the season again. Lead by 4. Buffalo threatening, but a couple of penalties and a sack have moved them back to the 33-yard line, where it is 3rd down and long, and Thomas on the draw, shortening the field goal try as he moves inside the 30 to the 29, and out comes Ryan Lindell and the field goal unit. Lindell, who has missed only one all season and has a couple today, so he's 13 for 14, and since the start of last season he is 16 for 20, 80% from 40 or more. That's the best in the league. This one will be 43 yards.
And the Buffalo Bills are trying to inflict a little death by paper cut to this Indianapolis Colts football team, just a little bit at a time,
to make it a 1-point game. Couldn't hit it more dead center. Shoots it through easily. And with 10:35 to go, it's a 1-point contest. Ryan Lindell tees it up. He has 3 field goals today, just hit his longest, 43 yards, to make it 17-16, as Lossman able to use the pass on that abbreviated drive of 36 yards for the field goal, but they stopped themselves with the sack and the penalty. Lindell hits it deep to the 2, and here comes Terrence Wilkins. Has a crease at the 30 and cuts back into the arms of a Buffalo tackler at the 34-yard line, Keith Ellison.
The one unit that really hasn't done that well is this kickoff coverage team. Time after time, Peyton Manning and his offense have excellent field position.
Manning to throw on first down, steps away from pressure, dumps it off to Dominique Rhodes. Nice move on one of the Bills, and finally it's Clemens who comes over from the corner to make the stop. Well, it's been a really interesting defensive game plan by Buffalo, hasn't it?
It really has. It's with a quick, aggressive defensive line. They're letting their defensive linemen do what they do well, but the reason the short dump and the draw has been so effective is the other 7 guys are hauling back as soon as the ball snapped.
Back to Rhodes, and he drives close to the first down. May have picked it up. Kyle Williams, the rookie defensive tackle from LSU, and Takeo Spikes collaborated on the tackle. Well, there's the comparison. Only 83 yards from Lossman, and that other guy's got 232. Only 1 touchdown pass between them, and that was for 1 yard.
Well, and JP's job coming into this game was not to wing this thing all over the park. His job was to be very efficient with it, to complete the ones they gave him, but basically to hand off and manage the clock.
That little sign in his locker was big print: don't lose the ball. And maybe you win the game.
Quarterback has 3 jobs, Dick. 1 is win. That's the most important job a quarterback has. Number 2 is take care of the ball. And number 3 is make something happen no matter what happens. I mean, they've got to find a way to create something on point A and point B.
And then you look to your defense and say, give me some help. And that's what Lossman and Buffalo's gotten each of the last 2 weeks. London Fletcher with a touchdown interception last week against Green Bay, and Terrence McGee a 68-yard fumble recovery touchdown today.
Well, and ultimately that's what this guy does best. The first 2 parts of that job. He wins and he takes care of the ball.
Peyton Manning in his 137th consecutive start. Along with all of his talents, the durability of Manning. Even better than Favre at the start of his career. Favre didn't go the first 137 anymore. Rhodes cuts back and down he goes, and may have fumbled the ball, and the Bills have it if it's ruled a fumble, and it is.
It's not down by contact. They are not pointing to the ground.
Nate Clements. So McGee gets one fumble and returns it for a touchdown, and Clements scoops up this one the other corner.
You have to be conservative. The job is done from the backside. That ball is knocked out. Schobel had him in his arms, but the runner was not down.
The runner was on Schobel. The runner was on the body of Schobel, otherwise would have been down.
That's right. And then when the contact comes in, watch his body on top of Schobel.
And then
not down, ball's out before he actually hits the ground.
And it looked like Clements was the man who reached in and picked it out of his mitts. No red flag, and they give it to Thomas, and Thomas sprints into the open, staggering forward, and there's that lean forward all the way to the 22-yard line. And oh my, these fans now realize this could be a troublesome opponent today. A one-point game, and Thomas and the Bills are down deep in Indianapolis territory.
That was Nate Clements. The ball was clearly out, like you so astutely noted there, Dick. When you're down on the player, you're not down on the ground, and Clements timed that perfectly. When he was still down on, Rhodes was still on top of Schobel when he brought that shoulder into the ball, caused the fumble, then recovered it.
Meanwhile, the A-Train has rumbled for 105 and looking for more. And typical of his running in Chicago, the later the game, the more effective Thomas became. And 134 yards on the season. He had 95 against Green Bay last week, filling in for the injured Willis McGahee, and he is running big time here late in the game today. 112 yards for him.
Forward, ever forward, Dick. You know, that play set up by Schobel with his tackle, and then Clements finishing it off by causing the fumble and setting this offense up. This is exactly Buffalo's game plan. Have them cooperate, get a couple turnovers, and hammer the ball with Thomas.
On second and short, Thomas hit in the backfield and then pushed back. No gain on that play. Good invasion there was Rob Morrison. Antoine Bethea came up from safety to invade.
That was just excellent defense. I mean, very, very good defense coming from inside. Anthony McFarland collapsed that entire defensive line back into the lap of the running back.
A loss of a couple on the play. 3rd and 5 at the 17. Lee Evans to the right, Peerless Price to the left. And there's Freeney with a sack, his first full sack of the year. About time, he says.
Hey, it's a team game, but it also is about beating the guy in front of you and finally do what you do best. And you've got a tight end trying to block you. That is a great deal. Robert Royal is a lot worse at pass blocking than Jason Peters. And it ends up being Royal that Freeney beats for his first sack of the year. Full sack.
So Lindell comes out attempting his 4th field goal successfully. 41 yards to give Buffalo the lead. Mormon the holder. And it is no good. Wide to the right.
Got a new challenge for you, Buffalo. Can you keep the balloon pumped up? Can you keep the air and enthusiasm in your game when you don't get those points? You needed those points bad.
We told you how Lindell's been almost automatic, hitting 80% from 40 to 49. Hit one earlier today. This one got away, wide right. And Indianapolis clings to the lead. Ryan Lindell, only his 2nd miss of the season. And Indianapolis still in front by 1 with 6:22 to go. Manning and the Colts take over at the 31.
Okay.
Joseph Adai on the stretch. He battles his way for 8 yards to the 39. How close was Lindell's try?
Well, you've only had one real blowout if you're a Colts fan this year. The rest of them have been the slimmest of margins, 1 and 3 and occasionally a 7. But Lindell pushed that one right pretty well and knows he's cost his football team, but they just don't know how much he's cost his football team yet.
So they forced the fumble and had the recovery on the Colts half of the field, unable to capitalize. They've been in the red zone 3 times. Buffalo came away with only 2 field goals today. Quick throw, complete out to Dallas Clark. Eludes one tackler, and down he goes at the 42. Lost the ball, but it rolled out of bounds, and he was down by contact when he did lose it. Well, another tackle.
Smartly, Dick, he gets the first down, and he stays in bounds. Just like Joseph Adai chose to cut back inside on that last play on the run. You're going to see the players from Indianapolis, they don't want to go out of bounds. This is basically the 6-minute offense. You want to eat as much of this clock as you possibly can during this possession and get points.
Leading by 1. Adai stays in. Manning underneath to Adai. They've used that play often. Tackled immediately. Crowell must have close to 20 tackles today. Adai tough to bring down. Well, there are the last unbeaten teams the last years, though, in this century. And interestingly, none won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and to me, that's what it's all about. That's why I've said several times for Tony Dungy and this football team, it's not about staying perfect. Sure, you'd like to be 19-0 and beat that record of the 72 Dolphins by 2 games, but it's about getting the ring and winning the last game, not every game.
2nd and 8, short gain on that pass play, and now back to Adai, stretching it to the right. Sets up the blockers and looks to be beyond the yardsticks. Now that was a very patient run by Adai. He never got to full speed until right at the end.
Hey, you want patient too. I mean, it's excellent blocking all the way around. He had his own little personal convoy. You know, Jake Scott, the guard, 73, is out there. He puts a nice block on London Fletcher, and then Adai just kind of squirms for a few more yards, and they stop the clock here to measure, and then they'll run it again real quick. You see the yards per rush between these two football teams. Indianapolis has just gobbled it up.
See 5.5 yards a carry for the Colts, taking advantage of that loose defense, and it is a first down.
Once they restart the clock, though, Dick, watch Peyton Manning and how he uses the play clock. Because one of the parts of running this clock down when you get in this last 6 minutes is you get the play clock, if you can, down ideally to 1 every time before you snap it.
And Buffalo has but 1 timeout left. Had to use a couple here earlier in the second half.
So this isn't high tech. This is the time to be brutally efficient.
Now here he is at the line of scrimmage, 26 on the play clock. Let's see how he works it. Now 20. Now you see it there in your screen.
Surprised these Indianapolis Colt linemen don't cramp up as much time as they spend in their stances.
Adai. And he's down at the 46. Kyle Williams makes the tackle. His teammate with the LSU Tigers for 4 years. Both are rookies. Williams was a 5th-round draft pick. Not a pretty strong guy. Looks strong, doesn't he? He squats 705 pounds.
Those are the kind of guys you want inside. But even for this defense, one of the goals was to get faster. Remember, they drafted John McCargo, the defensive tackle out of North Carolina State. He's on injured reserve now.
And he broke his foot against Chicago.
But it's about speed, and it's about getting upfield for Dick Duran's defense. It's no longer the big wide bodies.
Down to 3, 2. Adai stretches it and then cuts at the perfect time, and a first down across the 40 and down to the 38. Williams, trailing the play, made the tackle. Lost his helmet.
And that thing you saw squirting out at the end wasn't the football out of Joseph Adai's hands. It was the helmet off of Kyle Williams' head. That thing goes spinning out. That's when you know you're running full speed as a defensive tackle. When you're that size, you run right out of your helmet.
This is not a Buffalo timeout, but a timeout for measurement. You can see how quickly the clock has ticked down to 2:33. And another first down. And Peyton Manning and the Colts and Dungy just a good first down away from running this thing out.
So now the play clock is at 34 seconds. Okay, and it's 2:33 left in the game.
I can do the math here on this one.
We're not going to see another play before the 2-minute warning, I think, maybe. Oh, Buffalo uses their last timeout?
That's a pretty good use of that last timeout,
it really
I would
is.
think, yeah.
because they would have never gotten that 33 seconds back. Well, we made some points, and Buffalo hasn't been perfect, but they got the +2 turnover ratio where they do win most of the time. And Indianapolis was not able to separate early. They weren't able to ever really pull away from this football team. And you'd have to say the score indicates that maybe Indy did relax a little bit. I know you got to credit Buffalo, but this wasn't your typical full speed ahead Indianapolis Colts effort.
Well, the folks watching in the living room aren't relaxing at all. Nope. If you're a Colts fan and a Bills fan. Bills looking for something special on defense now as it's back to a die. And he is charged forward for about 5. Kelsey tripped him up. And now that'll take it all the way to the 2-minute timeout. No way to stop the clock now for the Bills. They've used all 3.
You know, and Dick, this is a part of the game that they have just found back again in Indianapolis. They thought they might have lost it for a while when Edgerrin James signed that free agent contract. But really, Joseph Adai is bringing back that power running that Edgerrin James gave this offense.
So there's the 2-minute warning. The Colts need only one more first down, and they've got it. Dwight Freeney, a few smiles during that breakaway. He finally has a full sack, 1.5 for the year. A man who has 51 sacks in 4 years coming into this year. And it was a big one in the red zone, forced Lindell farther away, missed the field goal, and so the Colts lead by 1, 2 minutes to go, and the Bills can't stop the clock with their own timeout. They need to stop the Colts at 2nd and 4 to have even a rare chance at the end. First down here, and it is over. Adai, well, no more drama. Kelsey makes the tackle, first down, and the clock will start chewing.
And it really, Dick, came down to one thing, and it was sort of the life of a kicker. You're either the champ or you're the chump. And on this day, Ryan Lindell missing this field goal.
And you wonder, with that sack that cost about 8-10 yards, had he been that much closer, would the ball have hung on that upright? Who knows?
Well, how about if the offense, it's not all Ryan Lindell's fault. How about if this offense for Buffalo could have done something in the red zone? 11 plays, -8 yards.
Oh, my. -8 yards in the red zone for Buffalo. So they just stalled at the 20.
I've had cars that didn't go in reverse that well.
So Manning with a kneel down, and here the Colts will go 9-0, first time ever, second year in a row.
Yeah.
Well, here's a game that I'm looking forward to. December 10th at Jacksonville. Jaguars always play the Colts tough. In fact, they lost to the Colts 21-14, and it took a Wilkins punt return for a touchdown to beat Jacksonville. That'll perhaps be the biggest hurdle, but hey, when you're unbeaten, they're all after you.
They could go undefeated in the regular season, and they could do that, and no one would remember their name if they don't win 3 more games.
Peyton Manning using what the Bills gave him, ran the ball enough, and at the end it ran out the clock, and Tony Dungy and Dick Duran share thoughts as the Baltimore Colts, first ever in the entire history of the NFL, start 2 consecutive seasons unbeaten, first 9 games. Game effort by Buffalo and Dick Duran. They continue to play tough, and that defense certainly asserted itself admirably today. So from Indianapolis, let's go to James Brown.